Welcome back to The World Over Live. The war in Iraq is always a hot topic of discussion in the news media these days, but an aspect of it that has not gotten so much coverage is the plight of Iraq's Christian minority. Tonight, our guests are here to shed some light on what is becoming a dire situation for the region's Christians. Via satellite from Washington, D.C., we're joined by Nena Shea. She's a senior fellow at the Hudson Institute and vice chair of the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom. Thank you for being with us, Nena.
My pleasure, Raymond. Thank you.
And joining me here in studio, I'm honored to be with Archbishop Gabriel Kasab. He is the former Chaldean Archbishop of Basra in Iraq, now in Sydney, Australia, and Joseph Kasab, the executive director of the Chaldean Federation of America, and yes, they are brothers. Gentlemen, thank you for both being with us, Your Excellency. Nena, I want to start with you. Why have we not heard about the plight of the Iraqi Christian community? I mean, this is an ancient, venerable community, really the bedstone and foundation of Christianity. And yet we hear so little about it in any of the papers. I see virtually no coverage of it.
You're right, Raymond. Around Christmas time, there may be an article or two about the plight of these Christians. They're a very ancient community founded by Doubting Thomas, the apostle, 2,000 years ago. So they're indigenous to the country, and they are being severely persecuted, one of the most persecuted religious groups in the world today, and driven from Iraq so that their presence may be erased and eradicated completely. I think that there's it's an inconvenient fact for our government, and then the opposition and the media, of course, has religious blinders on. And really the nature of this war is religious, this conflict that we're seeing now in Iraq, and the Christians are really an extraordinary victim in the sense that they are targeted for their religious faith, and they are utterly defenseless.
Joseph, why do you think there is this inability or this unwillingness for both the media and the politicians to accept that there is a religious component at play here, and that religion may be driving some of this violence and what to my eyes appears to be a Christian genocide?
Well, that's correct, Raymond. The media hasn't paid a lot of attention to the Iraqi religious minorities, mainly the Iraqi Christians. And for some reason, they are not very well informed about what's taking place and why they should be their plight should be highlighted in in order for the world to know more about what has been taking place. We at the Chaldean Federation of America were trying to increase the awareness of what is taking place with the Iraqi Christians and how not only the media but the international community should know more about this. And so far we have gotten somewhere with that, with the help of many NGOs and other organizations, and of course with the help of our dear friend Nena Shea.
Yeah, and Nena, I want to go back to you before I go to the Archbishop. What has been happening in the last 3 or 4 months in Iraq? Because everyone imagined the American forces would come in, peace would be restored there, and certainly everyone, both Muslim and Christian and Jewish, everyone would be able to somehow coexist or have a place at the table in the government. That is not the case, is it?
It's certainly not. And the Holy Father met with President Bush not too long ago this summer, earlier this summer, and said that there is really no tolerance in Iraq anymore for these tolerant people. What we've seen is the warning, death threats given to the entire neighborhood of Baghdad, a very prominent Baghdad neighborhood of Dora, which is many Christians live there, and they were given an ultimatum by the extremists, by the militants, by the Islamic militants, saying either you pay a tax, you convert to Islam, or you leave, and this is under penalty of death. So they left. There's only a fraction of these people left. There have been 30 churches bombed. There have been priests beheaded. Women have had acid thrown in their face because they're not dressing as Islamic women with veils. Christians who are involved as vendors for liquor stores, for cinemas, for hairdressers, anything that is considered non-Islamic have been killed and their businesses firebombed. So they are being targeted for not behaving like a Muslim, and not really capitulating to Muslim demands. And this is just, it's accelerated in the last couple of months with these ultimatums.
I want to bring Archbishop Kasab in, the former Archbishop of Basra. Tell me, why do you believe this is happening, Your Excellency?
Sorry, I go to talk in Aramaic.
That's fine.
Jesus
spoke in that language. Yeah. It's okay, Archbishop.
خشون أذمندي برينا سبب ناشي لو محضر جني تأذمندي تيل بار بفر معدن بال صدام حسين.
I believe one of the reasons why this thing has happened because we believe that people are not they were not well prepared and they never thought that Saddam Hussein would be toppled.
وبصوت من يطلع تنشن من تحكم لصدام عقلة ناشد عقلة برناش بدلة كبيرة ولو بذاء ما زي بعده.
After 38 years of regime and oppression by Saddam, people were kind of adapted to exactly what he was saying. They never knew any better than what was going on.
أنا من دان كله ومن دان خلنا ثيري حكمناش نخراي من أثرخنا هم أني ودليت أدبار أثمنتي.
And of course, because there are many people who came from outside Iraq, they contributed a lot to what's taking place in Iraq at this time.
The American incursion into Iraq and the invasion.
محكوي الناشد الأمريكان محكوي
دول شواو العراق.
I meant the people who came from the neighboring countries of Iraq who are causing the trouble.
And I want to talk about that in a moment. Joseph, we're having a little technical problem with your microphone, but we're going to fix it while I go to Nena. Nena, why do you think the administration has been so slow to respond to the outcry that we're now seeing? You all had this commission hearing last week, these very moving testimony and outrageous in some ways. I mean, the stories some of these people were telling, 36 members of a congregation disappearing all of a sudden, people sleeping on the floor of churches to stay alive. I mean, why isn't the administration moving quickly on this?
Well, I don't think they have a clear understanding of the religious nature of Iraq or the degree of intolerance. There's also the issue that the trouble is being made, as His Excellency just said, by neighbors, terrorists that are coming in from Saudi Arabia and Iran, for example, and bombing and creating violence and trouble. And the Christians and other smallest minorities, these non-Muslim minorities, the Mandians, the Yazidis, are not doing that. So it's not a problem that the administration needs to address. They have a lot of problems in Iraq, and because the Christians, precisely because they are so defenseless, they don't have militias, they don't have tribal structures, they're not throwing bombs, they're having suicide bombers. Because they're not creating troubles, they're not a problem and they're not addressed. They're just swept aside, and really there is no specific U.S. policy to help these Christians today. And there are solutions. There are things that could be done.
Right, and I want to talk about those in our next segment. Archbishop, I want to return to you for a moment. You were there when the America first went in, the second time rather, the second invasion, 2003. What did you see at that time? You were the Archbishop of Basra at the time. What happened in your community?
توتاما كده بريلة دخول الأمريكان ثاني مرة يعني بالعراق حتى المحريلة ما غزيله ما بريلة يعني مين دخشت بريلة باورا قدرته
لماذا قماي دولة جاوي قوات التحالف ناس كبيرة وعصيخة.
In the early days when the coalition forces entered Iraq, the Iraqi people were very happy.
بصر خير خا مشوريلا بقطالة جماعة سوريا فبرشوثا دبزبني وعراق ين أن تلخيوة أمد أمريكا.
After about a month from this entry, the people they started killing Iraqi Christians because they were selling liquor and they have their own liquor stores.
يعني اختلي منا البصرة خواتز تريسرناش.
For instance, in Basra, more than 12 people were killed in the very first night.
Did they go to the local authorities and to the American forces?